Welcome to the Know Yourself Revolution. My name is Grace Gravestock, and I have got with me today some beautiful souls who are also successful entrepreneurs. And today we're going to share we have a couple questions so you can get to know them. And at the end, you'll have an opportunity to work with them if any of them really resonate with you. And what we're going to start with is just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and who you help.
Thank you, Grace. I'm Mary. I support passion-driven entrepreneurs by generating more income and limitless opportunities with my 12-week bundle of Book Your Brand, where we publish, promote, and prosper.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Mary. I'm Dagmar Fleming, and I help conscious entrepreneurs accelerate their growth, increase their income, and most importantly, fulfill their life purpose by removing whatever is in their way to that ultimate potential that we all hold within us.
Thanks, Dagmar. I'm Michelle Abraham. I help entrepreneurs amplify their vision, their voice, and their visibility through podcasting, and we do that in my Get Media Ready program.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm Karen. I help entrepreneurs build relationships, trust, and self-love through my Empathy Advantage training.
Wow, and I couldn't have planned it better. You can see that everyone here can help love and trust yourself. And if you've been watching the show before, you know that the vision is to positively impact 5 billion people by 2025. As in the world that we envision is one where people are they're realizing that they have an inner guidance system, and they're looking to be directed by that rather than the noise or any of the external messages that we've all been conditioned and programmed to follow, which may or may not be in alignment with what we're here for. So it's time for us to shine. With that, I would love for you to share one book that's really had an impact on you. And the purpose of this is to connect and motivate and inspire others with material, and also tell a little bit about, it will give us a sense for who you are and what is important to you. So please, if you could start sharing one book.
So it's hard to pick one, but one of the most impactful books that I read was Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. And I am a highly sensitive person, and I was getting my feelings hurt a lot, and I was struggling to feel love in conflict situations. And so I realized that I needed to get some help. So I started reading, and Marianne's book just grabbed me. And as I read this, one of the things that she talks about is how love is all there is, and that love holds no grievances. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. So one of the questions that she talks about is, are you willing to see things differently? And if you are, then you're open to miracles. And so I experienced so many miracles within myself, within my relationships. It totally transformed my life, and it affected everything. It affected my personal life, it affected my business life, and then I trained under Marianne Williamson herself as a spiritual life coach, and I became a life coach.
Wow, beautiful.
Oh gosh, this is a hard one, because my gut instinct wants to say Celestine Prophecy, because that book really changed my life when I was really young, and traveling around the world and just exploring life and everything. But another book that really made an impact recently was a book that my friend Shiraz Babu wrote called Rewrite Your Reality, where he talks about your life, what theme are you in, and it relates to like movie themes. Are you in the comedy theme? Are you in the drama theme? Are you in the... I thought that was so relatable, and it made me really, okay, yeah, what theme am I playing in this life, and what theme is that person playing? And I thought that was a really cool part of that book, so that's been really helpful.
Wonderful, thank you. And I am familiar with that book. It's wonderful, so highly recommended. One of my favorites is Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And that's because when we reflect upon our lives, we actually don't spend much of our lives in this present moment. We're so afraid of the past and what happened to us with all the core wounds and hurts and any shame and guilt that's around it, that we project it forward into the future, and then all we worry about is how will the future unfold. But as we know, we only have this present moment, and we can create in this moment. We don't have to bring the past into the future. My passion for all entrepreneurs and visionaries and leaders is to give ourselves permission to let go of the past. Embrace where you are now, because today you are the most powerful. Tomorrow will unfold. It depends on how you show up today. Don't let the past be dragged into the future.
Oh, I love that so much. It's a very inspiring book of mine, too. It was actually the one I was going to claim. But yes, your fortune lives on the other side of forgiveness and being present in the moment, letting go of the past. But I will choose then The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. And it was a 42-day process. And what it really taught me was to make a deep level of commitment to connect with myself every day. And I think it's about 10 years ago that really is one of my non-negotiable practices, is just to make a commitment to show up for yourself every day and be driven on purpose. So I'm going to choose that one.
I love that. Thank you so much. So many inspiring books. It's exciting. There's always a next step there. If one of those books resonates with you, it's funny. I saw our body language. We're like, oh yeah, like we all know those. Really, they've been impactful probably for so many people. So if you could share now, as successful entrepreneurs, we've all struggled, and I think that's the message that we want to share with the Know Yourself Revolution, is that challenges often lead to our biggest breakthroughs. And so for people that are watching right now that are going through it, they're going through a challenge. Many people are getting laid off. We're seeing the stats on that. It's almost frightening. It would be frightening if we were living in fear, which we're not. We're choosing to live in a different frequency, and that's good because it protects us from being limited by that lower frequency of fear, which can keep us locked into a place that we don't want to be, basically. Knowing that there are people watching right now that are going through some real serious challenges, I wanted to ask you to share one challenge that you have been through that led you to the purpose work that you do today. And really the point that I want to make, and as I've talked to so many amazing entrepreneurs lately, is I'm shocked at how that's always the case. There's always a challenge that usually gives a big indication for what each person, what we're here to be and do. And it might be direct and it might be indirect. So could you start, Mary, with sharing a story that kind of led you maybe or pushed you into this greater awareness of what your purpose work is?
Absolutely, Grace. There's so many. Our trials lead to our biggest triumphs, which is my story led to my publishing company because it gave me a story, and it was from panic to purpose, really living in fear. I was at the top of my corporate carnival, and my body reacted. My heart was reacting, driving me to purpose. This is not for you. This overwhelmed state, which is my keynote, overwhelmed to overjoyed, is not for you. And my body panicked, and it took me a decade. It took me a decade to come home to myself and really begin to share how we can do this life, how we can be in life and business without the fear and without the panic and without the stress and without the regard. But that was it. I panicked. I ended up resigning about 4 years later from my corporate career. I sold everything that we had. We moved to the South, and I bought a fitness club because that's my second one. Daily movement is important. So I just had to. My body said, no, we have something way better. And 10 years later, I'm celebrating a 6-figure business in publishing and mentoring and facilitating retreats in Sedona, showing other people how to find love over fear and choose it. So thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Great question.
So inspiring. I always say to myself, when in doubt, take a step forward, because movement brings the clarity. So I had a lot of movement in my life. I live in Texas, but as you all probably notice, I don't exactly have a Texan accent. My journey actually began in Poland. I lived at times of communism when poverty was revered, struggle was something that was a virtue, and we knew we had to keep our heads down to be safe. So I left Poland and came to America, which is the land of free and entrepreneurial spirit. And I reached the pinnacle of the American dream. I had my college education, amazing corporate career, just like you, and I even opened my own global consulting company. But have you noticed that when you were raised to be poor, to be humble, it always comes back and sabotages where you are now. So that's exactly what happened to me. When my business reached multiple six figures without practically much effort, I started losing money, I started losing clients, and I had no idea what was happening with me. I literally would wake up in the middle of the night, breaking sweat, and wondering, where did all the clients go? What happened? And what occurred to me is that I simply made too much money, too fast, and too easily for my own success. So I sabotaged it. And how many of us have been feeling uncomfortable with playing big or really putting ourselves out there on the line, especially as entrepreneurs that we are, that are very soul-driven. So through that experience, I had to really take a step back and realize that this communism was haunting me even after I left it. And it made me understand that those beliefs that we have from our childhood control how we show up today. And until you give yourself permission to digest what's holding you back and give yourself permission to set yourself free from the system that you've been living under, then you will continue to diminish your own power. So that's what led me to open the Unlock Your Success mentorship programs. And I just hope that each one of us has an ability to release those artificial limits that we have placed upon ourselves.
Thank you.
Ooh, what challenge to pick. There's so many. So many. So I was an entrepreneur since the time I was 27. When I was sitting in an office, I was in charge of 100 tour guides in a ski and snowboard tour company. And the owner of the company's dad came into the office and he said, they're training you to take over this place one day. And I remember my future like flashing before me going, no, this is not, no. So I want to really make a difference in someone's life. And I'm sitting here taking people on vacation is great, but it's not really making an impact in anyone's life. So I opened a fitness studio, and a year later I had 8 boot camp locations across our province, and I was in the fitness industry for 10 years, but I built myself a really nice jail. I spent far too many hours a day locked in this studio with far too much crazy things happening. So I said, you know what, this is not in alignment with me anymore. I'm going to move on to something that I think is really interesting, and that's co-working spaces. So I opened a co-working space. 2013, it was a little bit before co-working spaces were new, and so everyone looked at me like, what the heck's a co-working space? And so we had a co-working space, and again, I built myself a really nice jail. And so then I started getting into podcasting then, and I was doing all sorts of things, and I remember one friend said to me, hey, I know you're really good at what you do, but I have no clue what you do. And I was like, ooh, that is not a good thing for someone to say. My best friend doesn't know what I do, then how can my customers know what I do? So at that moment, we dropped absolutely everything and focused just on podcasting. And it was almost like an overnight track to 7 figures once we dropped everything else. We were humming along at 6 figures, but the minute we dropped everything else and just picked one lane was the minute that we had a lot of success in a really short amount of time. My lesson and challenge there was making sure that your business is always aligned with you. And once you start getting out of alignment, it feels hard. It's not in flow. It doesn't work as well. And so being okay with letting go of it and moving on to the next adventure.
That's important.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yes, like everyone else, I've had many obstacles, and which one do I choose? I had a lot of fears growing up. Like I mentioned, I am very sensitive, and I can pick up on people's energy, and a lot of times I would sense negative energy from people, and I felt very afraid to talk in front of people. I remember when I was in school, I didn't want the spotlight on me. I didn't want to ever talk. Don't give me a microphone. Now I love the microphone. But I was very afraid, and my husband and I experienced a number of major financial setbacks, and we bought a bankrupt business, our second bankrupt business, and we were trying to turn it around, and my husband said, I want you to be in charge of marketing and sales. And I was like, me? I like to talk to people as a friend, one-on-one, but go sell something? I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But I started doing that, and I started looking at what is the need of the customer, what do these clients need, and I started putting myself in their shoes and trying to figure out what they needed. And so I decided to make breakfast for them every time they had a meeting, and they started paying attention to this. And then I said, hey, what about their birthday? What could I do to make them feel special on their birthday? And we gathered such a huge market share that the competition bought us out.
Wow.
And so I realized I actually like sales because I really like people and I really like building relationships, and I realized that's all sales is. And so then as I became a life coach, I started coaching people that were also entrepreneurs, and they had so much fear to overcome. How do I talk to these people? What if they think I'm salesy and icky and things like that? And so I said, all you have to do is be empathetic. Just put yourself in their shoes, find out what their problem is, find out what they need, and then try to reach them on their level. And so my Empathy Advantage training focuses on that, in helping build relationships, whether it's in business or in their personal life.
Wow. So I know we're running really tight on time. If we could just end with, if somebody wants to work with you, what would be the way they could contact you?
I would go grab a gift at buzzingwithbrilliance.com. And you can see the 3 ways, my 3 non-negotiables of claiming, creating, and celebrating life and business.
Thank you.
And I would like to invite everyone to visit my website, dagmarfleming.com/resource, to grab my guide called 4 Ways Your Brain is Sabotaging Your Bank Account. And Dagmar Fleming, I know it's not a typical Texan name, is spelled DAGMARFLEMING.
Okay.
Awesome. And I would like to invite you to have a free ticket to come to Potapalooza. Potapalooza is a crazy one-day event that we hold several times a year. And it's all about you taking the stage. You actually get to be recorded on up to 5 podcasts during the day. And there's a whole bunch of main stage speakers that are absolutely amazing. So you can get your free ticket, potapalooza.com, and we'll put the free code for you there.
And you can find me at my podcast, which is The Hero Within, Karen Hall, or you can go to KarenHallCoaching.com for my free gift.
Awesome. Thank you so much for each of you and all that you're doing to help people know, love, and trust themselves. Together, we can positively impact 5 billion people by 2025 through collaboration, through frequency, and alignment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.